Well, Florida's state pension plan is one step closer to becoming a thing of the past. Senate Bill 84 was approved by the Senate yesterday, and it'll now be sent over to the House for consideration. Lawmakers say the bill will cut off most new government employees from joining the pension fund. Their only option would be an investment plan similar to a 401k. Those changes would go into effect in July of 2022 if that bill is approved. And we have some good news if you're planning to be on the water this weekend. Florida Fish and Wildlife says there's no longer a red tide alert for Bonita Springs Beach Park. Now, this is a look at the red tide map. You can see there are mostly low levels along the Gulf Shore. The only medium level is down on Marco Island. And here in Florida, many of us are dedicated to protecting our paradise and keeping it clean. That's why Palm Beach County is thanking one man for his help keeping the beach spotless. Reporter Miranda Christian shows us his lasting legacy.
It's pretty simple. You just walk up. You're going to grab yourself a bucket.
Andy Abbott partnered with Palm Beach County to help create these.
Start picking up trash.
Stations for anyone to grab a bucket and collect trash while at the beach.
You can always find something.
What started as a pilot program a year ago grew to 25 stations being built in 15 different parks.
Worked so well that we gave them the green light to do all of our parks.
Director of Parks and Recreation Eric Call says Abbott builds the station and installs them.
Abbott says they're currently working with other cities and towns to put more of these stations in beaches and parks.
All along the East Coast. You know, I'm getting calls from Rhode Island, from Long Island.
The county recognized Abbott for his volunteer efforts with the Certificate of Appreciation. Commissioner Robert Weinroth says these buckets are helping keep the parks and beaches beautiful.
These parks are a reason why people live here. These parks are a reason why people want to move here.
See, now you got me going.
Abbott says he's humbled by the county's honor, and he hopes people will use the buckets when they visit a park to help protect our piece of paradise. In Boca Raton, I'm Miranda Christian.
Well, Lauren, we were talking earlier. It's actually been a bit drier than usual for this time of year. And I noticed it yesterday when I was out for a run. Just you can kind of feel it in the air.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of people are taking advantage of the Southwest Florida beaches to really cool down. We'll get a check of this beach forecast in just a second. First, I want to take you to the beach. This is the Naples Pier. It's still early and dark. I don't see too many people out and along the pier enjoying this mild morning that we're having, but that water sure does look really welcoming, and that's the place you want to be again today, as we're going to have our coastal communities in the upper 80s at the beach. Inland areas could be up to 90 by the afternoon. So not bad, low hazard when it comes to that rip current risk. The wind a bit breezy at times out of the south, anywhere between 15 to 20 miles per hour. Other areas could get a little bit gustier. This morning, though, if you're headed out the door, it's mild, not quite as hot as what we're expecting by the afternoon. So Fort Myers at Page Field looking nice and clear, coming in at 67 degrees. Moving to a different part of Southwest Florida, Punta Gorda coming in at 59, so a little bit cooler to the north, cloudier up there as well, and Immokalee coming in at 66 degrees. But like I said, going to be a warm one. As we get to the afternoon, you have to love all of the sunshine icons with the 24-hour forecast. Most areas going to be on par with that average high closer to 84 degrees. But like I said, our inland areas going to be a few degrees warmer than that. So take advantage of the pool, the beach, whatever you have to do. Clouds and radar looking nice and clear at the moment. You could see that southerly wind coming out of the Caribbean, bringing us that warmer weather and making us have this very mild morning. Here's what's to come, though. We do have a line of showers and storms associated with an area of low pressure, bringing another round of severe weather to the southeast. We're not going to quite see anything like that, but when you take a look at the predictor, we are getting some of that much needed rainfall. So through today, we're looking nice, clear and dry, but by Saturday, later on this evening, I should say, you see the East Coast starting to develop a couple of those scattered showers and storms. That mainly sticks to the East Coast, but by later on this evening, here's that first round of showers and storms associated with that front sweeping across Southwest Florida. It's by about Sunday morning, it's moved out of the area, but our southern parts of Southwest Florida going to be a a tad bit cloudy. Here comes another round of rain on your Sunday. Most of us picking up some of that much needed rain. As Rob was just saying, we are very dry, and scattered showers do stick around for your Monday morning commute. Speaking of how dry we've been, Naples, surprisingly, really is at a big deficit, almost 5.5 inches compared to what we usually see. Now, we're not going to pick up enough rain to make up for that, less than an inch, I would say. So where it's enough that, we could be thankful, but not enough to make up for that deficit. And when you mix in that deficit of rainfall and how breezy it's going to be through today, like I said, the wind anywhere between 15 to 20 miles per hour for some of us, it puts us in that danger risk of brush fires. And we see that all the time, especially as we're going into our dry season. So you can see here, Lee County is at a very high risk. Parts of DeSoto, Charlotte, and Collier are at high risk. And the rest of us are at a medium risk. We're keeping our eye on that. If you do have any plans to be outside and barbecuing, just make sure you're being extra careful. So for today, forecasting a high of 87, sunny and breezy at times. Tomorrow is when we're really going to see those scattered showers and storms move in. Going to keep us slightly cooler in the lower 80s. Isolated storm chances stick around for Monday, but the rest of your work week looks gorgeous, partly cloudy in the mid 80s.
Well, WrestleMania is coming to Tampa for the first time this weekend, and the big event kicks off today. Official hosts for the event include some of the biggest names in wrestling: Hulk Hogan, who's a longtime Clearwater resident, and Titus O'Neil. Another Floridian who will be on the big stage is Drew McIntyre. He's facing off against Bobby Lashley for the WWE title. Masks will be required during the event, as well as temperature checks and health screenings. WrestleMania 37 kicks off in just a few hours at Raymond James Stadium. And a debate that heats up every year around this time is who is the greatest of all time, aka the GOAT of professional wrestling. More than 190,000 tweets were tracked, and as you can see, a small handful of wrestlers dominate the conversation. Here in Florida, Hulk Hogan is the GOAT. The Undertaker was trending in 17 states. Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock dominated Twitter in 7 other states. Well, it's almost summer, and with more people getting vaccinated, there might be more opportunities to get your kids out of the house. The time is 6:23. You're watching Fox 4 Morning News. Well, summer camps were mostly closed down last year because of coronavirus, but with more people getting vaccinated, will they be on the rebound this year? Jimmy Rhodes digs into why summer camp might be the go-to adventure for your kids this season.
Summer camp has always been a wonderful proposition for people to be able to send their kids out into nature, meeting other kids, socializing.
Andy Pritikin's the owner-operator of Liberty Lake Day Camp, past president of the American Camp Association, New York, New Jersey, and the host of the Day Camp Pod podcast.
But now, given the circumstances that we've been in for the last year, with kids relegated to their bedrooms or kitchens, staring at screens, the hybrid school if they're lucky, the whole idea of camp is more important than ever before.
We're running down Andy's list of reasons why camps can help kids rebound from a year of unprecedented restrictions. And it starts with knocking the rust off social skills.
Human development of social skills. It's like a muscle. You need to work on it to get better at it.
And for the past year, it's been like opposite day.
We adults were all complaining that the new generation of kids were all stuck on their phones staring at their screens and we're losing their social skills already. Now the pandemic hits and we've actually been telling them to stare at screens and not communicate on a human level.
Well, the parental hive mind was right. Too much screen time does rot your brain. Luckily, camps provide a cure. Reconnecting with nature.
They've been calling it nature deficit disorder for years, and now people understand what that means.
If adults who supposedly have more developed senses of impulse control, delayed gratification, and complex reasoning are complaining about Zoom fatigue, think how hard it is for kids.
We all yearn to be outside now. It's like pendulums swing back and forth, and we swung so far to one end that now people are recognizing what they've been missing.
Trends like grounding and forest bathing are really just attempts to capture the ineffable, rejuvenating benefits of nature.
When you're outside, it just gives you a sense of being and a sense of worth, and you sort of know where you stand in life, and kids have lost that.
Finally, kids need camp more than ever post-pandemic to develop independence, because it's been worse than your kids just being trapped at home. Lots of times, they've been trapped at home with you.
When kids go to camp and disconnect from social media, from their phones, from their parents. Hey, Jimmy, when did you get to the store? Hey, Jimmy, text me when you get there. Hey, Jimmy.
Back off, Dad. Remote work plus remote school equals way too much time with the oldies.
There was also an issue of overparenting. You heard the submarine parents and the helicopter parents and all that kind of stuff, right? And what that did is it spawned a generation of kids who just couldn't handle tough situations because they never had to. Your parents love you so much that they're putting bubble wrap around you.
Yeah, my parents used to put bubble wrap around my head and face. So sweet. Because kids will skin a knee, lose a kickball, and hate that one horse with the creepy staring eye, and still have the time of their life. So later,
when they get out of college and they don't get their first job, that'll be okay, because they'll be used to that kind of tough stuff and compromises.
You can find American Camp Association accredited camps, plus assistance programs and scholarships at acacamps.org. Camping to cope post-pandemic is at the top of the list.
Well, the so-called anti-riot bill is one step closer to the governor's desk, and right now, big-name activists are taking a stand against the latest Senate decision. The time is 6:29. You're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
Live from the station that's in your corner, you're watching Fox 4 Morning News.
Well, Lauren, it's going to feel like a summer day today. It's going to be pretty hot out there, so a good day to go to the beach, it sounds like.
Absolutely, and if you are hoping maybe to snuggle up on the couch and you wanted to watch some movies, Sunday will be your day, so you kind of get the best of both worlds this weekend. So let me help you get out the door for your Saturday morning. We're starting off nice and mild, so the wind coming in over the southeast, most areas at max are 10 miles per hour, and that's helping us to keep us very mild. So 67 over in Fort Myers. Looks like my Naples sensor went down, but it's slightly warmer down in Naples this morning. Clouds and radar looking nice and clear. You could see that wind coming out of the southeast. Here is what is to come. We have an area of high pressure that's way out to the east and an area of low pressure that is to the northwest of us, and that's going to bring us those rain chances for your Sunday into Monday. Not something you have to worry about today. Today we're going to have plenty of sunshine, highs close to 87, inland areas closer to 90 degrees. How much rain could we see and how long is it going to stick around? We'll talk more about that in your full forecast coming up.
Well, if you're scheduled for a COVID-19 vaccine next week through Lee County Department of Health, make sure that you go to the correct location because RSW Airport will no longer be distributing vaccines. Starting on Monday, you'll need to go to the former Sears at Edison Mall. And this morning, we're hearing from Physicians Primary Care, where more than $2,200 worth of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine were stolen this week. The managing physician for the group says, quote, Physicians Primary Care found COVID-19 vaccine missing from one of the Cape Coral locations. The Cape Coral police were immediately notified, and they are investigating. We're taking this theft very seriously. Unfortunately, this means that the missing vaccines will not make it into the arms of the patients who need them. 10 vials, each containing 5 doses of the vaccine, were taken from the location on Vizcaya Parkway. If you have any information, you're asked to contact Cape Coral Police. Well, spring is in the air, and so is pollen. Research has shown the allergen can make respiratory illnesses worse, and COVID is no exception.
Pollen actually causes inflammation in your airways if you're allergic. So you can get, stuffy nose, coughing, wheezing, even asthma symptoms from it, similarly to what you get with respiratory viruses. And then the irony is if you suffer from allergies, you're more likely to catch a respiratory virus or vice versa because, your airways are already inflamed from one thing, such as pollen.
So Dr. Purvi Parikh says this is something wearing a mask can actually help with. Just in the same way it keeps you from breathing in virus particles, masks can also stop pollen particles from getting into your airwaves. It's also important to pay attention to the symptoms you're experiencing if you do have a pollen allergy.
Itching is more unique to allergies, itchy eyes, itchy ears, throat, skin. And then the other thing that's more unique to COVID actually is fever. So usually with allergies, you don't get a temperature over 100.4 or higher, which is our threshold for fevers. But with viruses and COVID, you do.
Well, Dr. Parikh says loss of taste and smell and muscle aches are also unique to COVID, but spring allergies and COVID do have some overlapping symptoms, things like stuffy nose and a dry cough. So if you're unsure, it's just best to get tested. Well, after an 8-hour debate on the Florida Senate floor, House Bill 1, otherwise known as the anti-riot bill, is one step closer to the governor's desk this morning. A Senate panel advanced the measure 11-9 to the chamber floor yesterday, its last stop before the governor's desk. He proposed the bill after there was violence at a protest in Tampa last year. It allows police to challenge budgets, opens communities to be liable for poor riot control, and creates or strengthens penalties against violent actors. Supporters say it's a law and order measure, but opponents say it's written too broadly and will suppress your First Amendment rights.
It's such the right thing to do to vote no that none of you have even a half-assed reason to vote yes.
You have the right to free speech all day long and 6 ways to Sunday, but you do not have the right to act violently.
Well, opponents did have some bipartisan opposition to the bill, but they'll need more if they hope to stop the bill on the floor. For now, it seems like the GOP majority still has the votes needed to send HB 1 to the governor's desk. And the American Civil Liberties Union in Florida has responded to the vote, saying, quote, HB 1 is an attack on the First Amendment. It's designed to stifle Floridians' right to peacefully assemble and seek change in their democracy. The nonprofit also said, quote, nearly everyone who has testified has strongly opposed this bill for an array of reasons. For the bill's nearly certain disproportionate impact on people of color, for the cost it'll impose on our state's economy, and for the simple fact that it will deter free speech. Well, this isn't what you expect to see when you pull into your driveway, but it was for one Southwest Florida woman. The Lee County Sheriff's Office was called to a home in Estero this week because of this big old gator, and he was hanging out in front of her home. The gator actually wandered off before Fish and Wildlife could get there to remove it, so who knows? Maybe he'll pop his head back in. And here's another close encounter with nature. A community service deputy with the Collier County Sheriff's Office spotted a big cat this morning near the hiking trail at the Crew Bird Rookery Swamp. There are an estimated 120 to 130 panthers left in the wild, so this panther you see on your screen here was a pretty rare encounter. Now, while we definitely want to protect those panthers, they can still be scary to encounter. So how you can stay safe if you run into one? Well, there's a few tips from the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission. You need to give them space. Most panthers won't actually want to interact with you, and they will leave you alone if you give them a way to escape. But don't run. It might be tempting to get far away from the animal as soon as you see it, but the FWC actually says you should stand your ground and even make eye contact. And lastly, make yourself seem larger. Open up your jacket or raise your arms, or even throw stones or branches in the direction of the animal. And remember, if you want to learn more about our Protecting Paradise series and read more about the environment, head over to fox4now.com/protectingparadise. Well, as coronavirus restrictions are ending, vacationers are locking in on travel within the United States. Travel advisors from Virtuoso say pent-up demand to travel is back big time, and it's taking a domestic focus rather than abroad, particularly to California and Alaska. Virtuoso's Misty Bells says California's coastlines, wine regions, and large cities such as Los Angeles and San Francisco are the go-to places. Travel to Alaska is a land choice rather than cruise for outdoor hiking, seeing Alaska's glaciers, and touring Alaska's coastlines. And some of the people traveling domestically right now are making their way back to Southwest Florida. Fox 4's Leslie Delaspore shares how some businesses are handling that rush.
Southwest Florida is starting to look like its old self again as people are starting to travel. Mary Powell and Ann Lugasic say it couldn't be a better time.
We just got off the plane and it was really nice being around the people, and I felt like the system made it really safe, and it was nice getting a glimpse of normal life again.
Excited to see people flooding airports like RSW, they say they're also excited to see the impact travelers will have on businesses in our area.
I think it's really exciting that we're kind of getting back to the life that I feel like we're supposed to be living with each other, not separated.
Yeah, it feels really good. It's been so long since I've heard like positive news, so it's just amazing to hear that we're getting back. So yeah.
Travel and consumer trends expert Jordan Goodman says while it may look easy, it is tough for the hospitality and travel industry to adjust to this uptick in travel.
In fact, in the latest jobs report, 110,000 new jobs were created in the travel, leisure, and hospitality sector. In some cases, they're having a hard time finding people who are able or willing to do those jobs. So it's not easy for them to get back to where they were before the pandemic hit.
Even the Luminary Hotel in downtown Fort Myers says they're having a tough time keeping up with staffing.
Staffing has been a challenge here in Southwest Florida, not just for our hotel, but for many hotels. And, getting people back to work from being out so long and just maintaining the staffing levels to satisfy the business needs.
But General Manager Bob Magazzini says this is a trend that he hopes will continue.
We've seen a lot of travelers starting in January after Christmas, so we've had a pretty good season. March was fantastic. We ran about 85% occupancy in the hotel. And then having all the snowbirds in town, we have 6 outlets in the hotel, and they've all been pretty busy as well.
In Fort Myers, Leslie Delaspore, Fox 4 News.
Well, today, the Mercado Shops is celebrating the first annual International Fest in association with the Asian Professionals Association of Southwest Florida. From 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., you can head over to the Mercado Shops event lawn to try local and international flavors, listen to live music, and shop for crafts and clothes. You're also encouraged to wear traditional attire from your heritage. The event is free to the public.
All right, Southwest Florida, we have been talking about our fire danger index for quite some time. The past several days, we have been reiterating how important it is to keep your eye on this as we've had dry conditions. But with the rain on the way, what does that mean for us, and how long does that rain stick around? We'll talk more about that in your full forecast coming up.
And quarantine can be lonely, and one artist is hoping to bring people together in her neighborhood safely with a new project. The time is 6:42. You're watching Fox 4 Morning News. Well, this morning, one Fort Myers mother is opening up about her journey with a rare medical condition called Nutcracker Syndrome. It's a rare disorder that occurs when arteries squeeze the left renal kidney vein. After giving birth to her second son, Melissa Malone